Okay, so now we're ready to move on to actually gridding on our white paper. So on our white paper, I've already gridded from my photograph. I've already got my photograph gridded, and now I've got my white sulfite paper, so there's the paper underneath. I want to kind of eyeball it in the center. It may not be perfectly the same all the way around. That's okay. Don't stress about that. It should be about the same. But it's gonna vary some, and that's all right. Sometimes the white sulfite is not a perfectly square corner. That's okay. Don't worry about it. But what I want you to do, where you know how I told you to bring the lines on your first piece on that photograph, you're supposed to bring them all the way to the edge. This is why. You're going to come up and you're going to make a little dot on your white sulfite where each of those lines ends. Now you've got to make sure that you don't move your photograph. You don't want to move that. Okay, I just moved the whole thing. But it's still in the same spot on my paper. You shouldn't have to move it, but if I don't move it, you won't be able to see what I'm doing because I'm kind of limited on my video here. So I'm keeping that kind of pressed down so that I'm not shifting it. Guess that's more accurate. I don't want to shift it on my white paper, even though I'm shifting my white paper. So I'm just making all those dots. I'm using a 6B. I do not want you to use a 6B. You should use nothing darker than a 2B. You may even want to use just your regular mechanical pencils because you don't want these too dark. Okay, so now I've got all those little grid marks. Again, I just want to make sure that you're able to see this. So I'm going a little darker than what I want you to. Do not press hard. You will ruin the tooth of your paper, that texture of your paper. So everywhere that those two marks are, line up those two marks. It shouldn't be just on one side. It should be going side to side. And the reason that I had you do the edge of the photograph as well, the reason I had you come there, so because that's where the edge of your image is going to be on your white sulfite too. So we're just bringing that all the way across. And boom. You could, actually, if you wanted to, you could stop right at the dot. You wouldn't have to extend past that. So like you could start at that dot, end at the dot. That would actually give you less to erase later. So that may be actually a better option now that I think about it. I'm trying to stay on camera here. Okay, again, those outer edges, they may not be a full inch square. That's all right. Now if you were trying to blow this up so that you had, you know, if you're turning this into a 10-foot mural, you would just make bigger squares. But if you know that the boxes that you made were square, you could turn a 1-inch box into a 1-foot box and everything would line up okay. But again, please, please, please use a 2B or mechanical pencil very lightly. If you use an H, you got to make sure you're barely putting any pressure on it. I'd already forgotten. Again, you can just go dot to dot. You don't have to go all the way to the edge on this. Keep it really light. Make sure you're lining up both dots. Don't fake it. It is going to show, and it's not going to show in a good way. Again, dot to dot. And dot to dot. Almost done. One last line. And dot to dot. Okay, so now this is the edge of my paper, but really my image ends here. So I could actually have gone back more. On the next video, I'm going to show you how to tape it off.